I had quite an effect.
Good job, Kim, for getting rid of them.
That was uncalled for.
Yeah, that was very much uncalled for.
Let's see who that caller was later on.
Yeah. Eric, he needs to contribute to the inappropriate jar.
So that wraps up the DDA portion. Are there any specific questions? Because we've got a lot going on.
Yeah, we talked at the DDA meeting this morning about the 15th Street project and funding of that project, and also the boardwalk. That's something we're still in the process of figuring out how, because of the timeliness of when we're going to need the money for the boardwalk. And so we're going to work with the DDA and with Barry to see how we can have that money appropriated, even if we ask for less from the DDA and get more from Dr. Mary Cretin's, or take more from the local street fund. But like I said last night, this is our first draft, although we've gone over it 20 times, but there are going to be there's just some tweaking that needs to be done to these numbers.
The DDA board was fully supportive of the project. It becomes they're just starting to get concerned about the financial aspects. So some retiming could pull the thing together.
Yep, we will get it worked out, I'm sure. And the DDA, from going off of Vicky's sheet, at the end of this year, will end up with about 200,000. I lost that sheet. Between 2 and 250.
For their fund balance, or?
Yeah.
Ending fund balance projection for 3/31/21 is 407,000.
And what will it be if everything went as budgeted for the end of the projected budget we have for
2022?
2020, 21, 22.
235,000.
Yeah, right.
Okay. Yeah, I knew it was between 200 and 250.
Yep.
I just lost my sheets. Oh, there it is. Okay. Is there any questions on the DDA? Thanks, Ron. And from there, we'll go to the Harbor Fund. I think, is Jason available?
Yep.
The Harbor Fund was switched over to a enterprise fund. This was several years ago, about the time they put the new docks in, if I remember correctly.
Yep, 2014. Yeah, so the Harbor Fund for the revenues, that $48,000 are requested right now. We're sending out all the harbor dock slip agreements, and right now it's at 58,000. So if everybody pays for the stuff that they signed up for, or the people who are on the waiting list, it should be 58,000. So around that number. So hopefully we can make more for that and then start being in the black instead of the red for this harbor fund. So and the gas and oil sales, the tanks are, I filled the tanks up all this year. So as far as the expenses go for those tanks, shouldn't be as bad because the tanks are filled up, right now. So we're going to season with a full tank. So nothing really changed there for that, for the revenue side, other than the dockage prices are gonna be a little higher. I think they should be. So if there's no questions on that one, we could go to expenses. So expenses for that, for the harbor, nothing new has changed. Nothing really drastic at all for this from previous years. Those transient docks are getting pretty old and raggedy looking. So I'm not sure when when we're gonna do phase 2 for that. I still have to do the rec plan and that type of thing. So I wanted to maybe replace some of the transient dock wood or just the decking for those transient docks. This year I was hoping to do that. But other than that, nothing really substantial in the expenses for the harbor. Is there any questions?
I just had a question that popped into my head was how do you determine the price of fuel that you charge to boats?
That goes off our what we're charged from stoppage, and then we take a percentage of that. I don't know exactly off the top of my head what the percentage of the profit would be from what we're charged from stoppage. But yeah, it's just what it is for when they fill us up, and then percentage off that. And Nicole did in previous years, so I know she also because we purchase fuel in the fall here, so next year it's gonna be different fuel prices. So I know she contacted Escanabas Harbor to see what their rates were, just to be competitive with the harbors in the area too. So as far as I know I still talk to Nicole, about different aspects. So I can clear that up when we get closer, but that's kind of my understanding of how she did it.
I know fuel prices are going up, and fuel is a commodity. Just looking at, you bought low and you should, got to sell for the market rate. So.
Yep. Yeah. So we should be making quite a bit of money, coming up here if the prices go up.
Yeah. Okay, from the harbor fund, we go to solid waste.
Okay, let's see, solid waste here. We'll start with the revenues there. A 2.5% increase I had put in there for solid waste increase, and that goes back to the rate study we had done. Everything else is about the same there. If you're wondering what the transfer from general fund is for $13,050, that's because we borrowed the money for the new loader out of the solid waste fund, and the general fund is paying that back, $13,050 over 10 years. I think this is the second or third year will be. Composting, nothing new there. $39,000, $40,000, $39,798. Just basically keeping up with the norms there. Garbage collection, same thing there. The only capital outlay we're doing is for garbage collection is $10,000 for new cans. That'll buy 200 cans. We've been replacing about 200 a year, 200 to 250. They're still covered under warranty, so we've been getting a couple hundred a year on warranty, but they're 9 years old. They'll be 9 years old this year, so they got a 10-year life expectancy. So we're gonna start having to replace those more and more.
What do you do with the old cans, Barry?
They're non-recyclable, so we landfill them. There's nothing you can do with them.
Can we sell them? Because I wouldn't mind buying one or two for compost. Throwing leaves in and so on.
I'll give you a bunch of them if you want them.
For a good price.
I'll
Yeah,
make a donation.
there you go. No, if somebody wants it for like you say, composting that, you know, it's not worth us selling them. But if somebody would want one, hey, that'd be fine with me.
At least you avoid the tipping fees.
Exactly. Exactly.
That's odd that they don't make that out of recyclable material.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Well, it's made out of 3 different types of plastic that are kind of like fused together, and for some reason they can't recycle it.
Yeah, it's got to be a lot tougher than any kind of
Yeah,
regular plastic, I'm sure.
but you think they'd be able to come up with something to
You would, yeah.
do with those? City cleanup. As you can see, last year we had it. Last year we weren't going to have it, and then we did finally have it. You know, we only spent $1,200 last year. I put $5,100 in this year. That kind of goes up and down. In 18, 19, we did almost 5,900. So I should have maybe possibly put a little more in there since nobody did it last year. But that's a program that most residents like. Admin, nothing really special there. The big one is we're looking at transferring $38,140 or $195 to fund balance. We have no big capital outlays in fund balance since we just bought that new truck this year out of it. So it'll probably be another 8 to 10 years before we need another truck. So we got to start building up for that.
That's where the 231,000 out of fund balance projected for this year.
Yes, yes,
For the truck.
pay for the truck. Yeah. Meter reader and billing, we split that with the other enterprise funds, with the water, wastewater, electric fund. We do a certain percent of it. How they come about, who pays what percentage, I don't know, but our basically is about $7,000 of that budget. Vehicle expense, that's where you'll see this year, you know, $233,000 in vehicle expenses for this year, or 244,000, I should say, projected. 220,000 as a new truck. Next year we're looking at 24,000 or 21,400 in vehicle expenses. There shouldn't be much since the brand new truck, it's covered under warranty. Just about everything for 5 years, 3 years on the truck and 5 years on the body. Our gas and oil comes out of there. So that's it for the solid waste.
Okay, so we set aside a possibility of 3 nights. It depends. I guess it'd be up to the commission if they want us to plow ahead and go through the last 3 enterprise funds and the perpetual care fund, or would you like to wait till Thursday night?
I'd say how much longer, wouldn't take too much longer to go through those, would it?
Yeah, it's only 6 o'clock right now.
Yeah, I'd rather kind of, if it's okay with everybody else, come keep working on it and not
Yes,
do another meeting.
We
right.
should be able to do it We should be able to do them in an hour,
Okay.
thinking. So,
I even push for an hour and a half if it takes it so we can free up
Yeah.
Thursday. Not that I don't
Yes.
like seeing all you guys on Zoom, but
Yeah, same here.
I'm tired of meetings.
Okay, that brings us to the electric fund.
Thanks, Eric. Can everybody hear me good?
Yes.
Good. Apparently I sounded like Daffy Duck earlier, so I guess I got that fixed. Looking at the revenue side, commercial and industrial and large and small power were a little bit lower than budgeted, but residential was a tick higher. And that's due to people, you know, spending more time at home and less time at work. The rate increase is budgeted in here by from the rate study by USF or UFS, excuse me. It's going to be about 3.5% residential, 6% on commercial and industrial, same as last year. Everything else is pretty well status quo. We did sell a piece of equipment last week. That's the $4,000 down on towards the bottom there. Obsolete piece of substation equipment, so it was nice to be able to get rid of that. Brett Neamey's also on board if you have any questions on the projections. He might be able to answer that too. But, any questions on the revenue end?
No.
Okay, moving on to administrative. The payroll is about the same. You see a little dip in the activity this year, but if you add the COVID amount into there, it's right where it should be. Everything else here is as normal until 582-537-817. That's $30,000 for the healthcare buyout. And everything else. Yeah, go ahead. Everything else looks as usual. Any questions on that admin?
No.
Moving on to safety training, there is a little bit extra in here this year. We have an apprentice who will be training downstate. So that's a little more money in his travel and lodging and also the tuition. And we are involved in 2 safety programs. We have one with Mecca that we do with the other local lineman training here, and then the new one with Safety Works. And I put a little bit more into the safety clothing too. It's just getting more expensive. That's normal. Any questions?
No.
No.
Okay, meter reading and billing. You go down to the bottom, capital outlay. Our current AMR system, automatic meter reading, the handheld devices are going to be obsolete this year. They will not be supported. That cost is roughly $30,000, and we can certainly do that. Or we can launch an AMI system, that's Advanced Meter Infrastructure System. And the first year's cost of that would be $139,505.
How does that system work, Skip?
It's basically a radio read. There'd be 3 collectors, I believe, in town, and the meters would talk to those, and those would talk to the billing system and to City Hall.
And those would work with the existing meters?
No. No, we would be buying new meters.
It doesn't involve, there's no data over the power lines or any of that kind of stuff, right?
No.
Okay.
This would, it would do a few things for us. We'd have a little outage management where, you know, the meters would tell us when the power's out. It would enable us to do remote disconnects. When we have to go out and do enforced turnoffs, Patty would be doing that directly from the office. It also enables us to do real-time load analysis, or, you know, it will also send out alarms for high or low voltage. So it's a complete system. The budget numbers that I used are from the WPPI/Honeywell proposal. That's what they've got a few people doing it in UP. Brett, you can chime in if you'd like. I think Nagani just launched this, but
yeah, that's right. So Nagani is just installing this system right now. Crystal Falls is also doing the AMI system, but they're using a different vendor, but still our same head end equipment. And I guess the part with there's some cost sharing with this. Typically, if you were going to install an AMI system, you have your meter reading and data transfer stuff that's here in Gladstone. And then it goes to a head end or MDM system that processes all the data. WPPI has purchased the head end system. I don't know the exact cost of it, but it's in the millions of dollars, $1 to $2 million type of range for, you know, purchase and installation, monitoring that. So with this system that Skip's looking at here, you get the advantage of sharing that cost with our other 50 members with that. So it brings down the cost of the project significantly.
Is there a document for this system that details out the risk assessment? Because if this is a automated system where you can shut people's power off, I'm sure it's able to be hacked. And you can see my concern with that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that I'm really like the automatic turn off feature. I see its benefit, but I also see its cons.
Yeah, I don't know the details of all of our security, but obviously with Homeland Security type stuff, we've got a pretty robust security system that, you know, behind our firewalls, it's pretty hard to get to that. This system is dispatched, so those shutoffs are dispatched through our billing system, and the billing system that we have is what Gladstone has. It's located on our servers. So this isn't something that would be going through City of Gladstone's personal firewalls or, you know, local firewalls. This would be something that's protected by our corporate equipment. And with that, of course, anything that's online that goes through the web, there's always concerns about security like that. We haven't had any breaks or, you know, instances of that, but not to say that that's not out there.
You just hate to be the first one.
Yeah.
Is, is there any long-term legacy costs or legacy fees switching over to this?
Yeah, there's annual fees. So essentially what it breaks down to, there's about $14,000 of annual fees that you'd be looking at. That includes electric and water. If you do both of them altogether, all the about 5,000 meters worth. Otherwise, the total project cost, what you probably don't see in these numbers. The first year cost was 139,000 that Skip had mentioned. It's about a $360,000 project total for the electric side. Our initial planning, we're looking at breaking that into a 3-year, incurring it over 3 years, but you can do it at any pace that you like.
Where in the life cycle is this equipment? What is the life cycle? How long is it going to be around? Is it going to be an obsolete in 4 or 5 years?
No, it would not that quick. I don't know what the advertised number would be, but I do know that like for the water meters that run off batteries, they've got a 20-year rated battery life that they expect to be using those for a minimum of that. So that gets you in the ballpark. I would say somewhere no less than 20 years. But you look at the meters that you have in now, there's probably quite a few meters that have been out in the field a lot longer than that. And you're looking at the same technology of the actual equipment.
Is there any way to retrofit our meters so that they could participate on this new AMI system?
No, unfortunately not.
What did you say the total cost was, including the meters?
For electric, 365,000 ballpark.
And
There was a good,
oh, go ahead.
a good spreadsheet that you had, Brett, and I was planning on digging that up and having it included with this. But I didn't know we were gonna keep plowing ahead through electric department tonight, so I think we could probably get some information to the commission. I mean, we're still a month and a half out from approving in the budget, so if we need to, I think we need some education on this, and present it to the commission at the first meeting in March.
The other part I'd look at that as well is if we go with the other system that Skip was mentioning, I think $30,000, if there is any legacy costs that go along with that that kind of mirrors with this new system. I think the new system Brett was talking was roughly 14,000 a year. I'm assuming that's probably for software licensing fee and so on.
Yep, that's correct.
Yeah, the 30,000 that I was mentioning, that's just to keep our current system going.
No legacy costs with that, Skip?
No.
Okay.
Skip, there's annual maintenance fees with that, isn't there, still, with the existing system?
Yeah, I'm not sure what they are. I want to think the number 8,006 in my head for some reason, but I'm not 100% sure on that. But
I know that gets split up between water,
right.
water, wastewater, and electric.
It'd be a good discussion for the next commission meeting.
Yeah.
And we do have another couple proposals from other vendors too. That I was using Brett's proposal as a budgetary number. They are pretty close, but yeah, for sure we can put something together.
Yeah, how long do you think it would take if you had to replace all the meters? What would be the timeline to implement something like that?
Electric meters we can do fairly quick. They're just kind of plug and play.
Yeah.
So it's just the head that gets replaced?
Right. You just basically unplug the meter, plug a new one in. We can, you know, you got 4 guys changing meters, you can change a lot of them in a hurry.
Okay, you want to, we'll do some more work on that portion. And so you want to continue on with consumer services?
Sure. Consumer services, that's basically when we're working on, that's anywhere from the alley to the residence. Everything's pretty status quo there. WPPI community services, that's the community relations money and the scholarships. I don't know if Brett, you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, pretty straightforward, same as it has been over the last several years. Donate money to different causes or energy projects, renewable energy, stuff like that, and we just reimburse the city.
New construction, we don't see anything really coming up for this coming year. We always put a little money in there if something will come up. Street lighting, that's going to go down quite a bit next year. It was up last year because of the 9th Street project. We did a lot more. We figured the time was right to bury all those feeds along that section and replace the poles. So we did that. That's why that number is so high from last year. Line maintenance. You see at the bottom, capital outlay. We want to do some transformer work at Van Air. Straighten up that system a little bit. The contracted services, that's the $50,000 again for line clearing. This will be the 3rd year of that. It is it's really saved our bacon here last couple of years. Inventory control, that's not much there. That's just for when Dave works on his inventory numbers. Meter maintenance. Some of this will, of course, depend on what we
All gone.
come up with on the AMI. But basically, we just throw some money in there just for when meters go bad and need replacing or additions. Energy and substation. The only thing we really need to do up there is our regulator controls they're old enough where they're not supported anymore, so they make a retrofit. And I'm planning on doing half of them this year. That's 3 of them for 15,000, and then do the other 3 next year. They're working fine, but if anything does happen to them, parts are going to be impossible to find. And energy optimization, that's pretty much just a pass-through. Something the state mandates, and I'm hearing that might go away after next year. We'll have to wait and see, I guess. Building and grounds. We did not get the siding on this year, so I moved that to next year. And also, we do have some roof problems. And the heating and air conditioning system in the office portion has been out for roughly a year. It's a good thing they had electric baseboard for backup. So we'd like to get that fixed or replaced or whatever they, whatever is recommended. Vehicle expense, no new purchases for next year. They up the amount on our contracted services. We have a vendor that comes in and does our dielectric testing and our DOT certifications, and they also do needed repairs at that time. And the North Bluff Broadband Tower. Vicki, if you've got any comment on this?
This was, Renee could probably tell you more. I don't mean to keep passing the buck, but this was some upgrades to the towers for the people that are renting them from us. It was something that Darcy had started, and he had set up escrow accounts. Since all the revenue, the electric department owns the towers, so that's where it's budgeted for. I don't know the status of the upgrades that are being done. Renee kind of took that over.
Yeah, I didn't know that it was budgeted.
Well, I think Skippy put it in, or he put it in there because we didn't know if there was going to be anything or
Right.
what. So he just,
This is estimated escrows is what you're saying?
yeah.
Yeah. The escrow amounts are just offset by the expenses anyway. So any revenue shown for escrow would, it's just held to cover expenses that would be billed back out for services that support any, I'm trying to think of the word, any assistance that we need, because we have a company that does that work for us. So we pay them to kind of manage the activities that are occurring. So it's a revenue account that's created and then expenses going out. So really shouldn't be any money made there, just a reflection of the money in and money out.
Well, we should be making money on overall though, from renting those poles to the different companies.
Yeah, that's not for the rent though. That's just for the site plan review that occurs and the maintenance of the tower, and to make sure that whoever's putting something on there is in compliance with all the federal regulations that are out there. We do make some revenue even during the site plan review. There's a fee for them to even register for us to do the administrative work. And then they pay the monthly or yearly fee, whatever it is, for the use of the tower itself. So I'm not sure what this expense is because I've never looked at it in the budget. I just handle the paperwork pushing.
We just put something in there because, in the event that there would be.
Right.
Okay, any questions on the electric fund?
Nope.
Well, Brett's, I don't know if Brett's still on, but you did talk a little bit about the donations and the scholarship. WPPI also donates some nice money towards our volunteer fire department, and they help support the robot team. And this year they're helping with the Key Club. So they do a lot. They do a lot of things for the community, which is nice.
Yeah, so we've got a couple different divvied up funds. Overall funding is about, oh gosh, can't remember offhand. about just under $20,000, I guess. But we got one fund that's $1,500 for community contributions for anything that's nice in the community. We got an economic development fund that you can use for economic development purposes. There's a school and learning education one for $2,000 that we've been using for scholarships for local students, high school students. And then the last one is it's like a marketing and energy efficiency fund. I believe we get about somewhere in the $8,000 a year for that you guys can use for whether it's renewable energy projects, education projects, or any type of a marketing type stuff that gets the city branding out there to the public. Like I said, those funds, the city makes the donation and then we just do a reimbursement to the city. But works nice. So we work closely with both Eric and Skip on getting those funds, and Renee did a lot of work last year too.
Okay. Let's move on to the 591, which is the 590, which is the water fund.
Wastewater Fund?
Wastewater fund. Sorry, my eyes are going buggy right now. I've been looking at numbers too long.
That's okay, Buck. So Wastewater Fund, we're looking at a rate increase that UFS suggested to us. They did a cost of service design the end of December for us. And they were looking to increase our readiness to serve from $14.60 to $21, and our commodity charge from $6.50 to $8.20 per 1,000 gallons. What that will do to our average customer that uses 3,000 gallons, it would be a monthly increase of about $11.50. If you go down, we don't have any other major revenues. Consumer service reimbursement, that's mostly lift stations that we provide to Kipling, and then they just reimburse us for those costs. If you go further down, the SAW grant is completed. We're just waiting for the final disbursement from the state of Michigan, and then that will be off the books. So looking at a total revenue request of $1.422 million. Is there any questions on the rate increase? Okay, we will move on to the consent order. We are still working out the final details with Eagle to see what exactly we're going to have to do. We know that we're going to have to purchase meters, which you approved of at the last commission meeting, so we can get some flow monitoring done before the spring melt starts. What we're doing is we're gonna try to throw everything under the consent order department so we can keep track of how much money we'll be spending on that consent order instead of putting capital outlay or anything in our lift stations. We're just gonna throw everything under the consent order. The major expense is the SSES, the I&I, and the project plan. And that was approved at the last commission meeting. I have it broken out into 2 years, $25,000 for the rest of this fiscal year, and then $50,000 for next fiscal year. C2AE is currently working on these plans, so that's why I got it split up. Meters That was the $28,100 that we're spending this year, and we might possibly need another meter or two in the future. If you go to new lines, we're not installing any new lines this year. So we can go to Masonville Township. Everything is pretty much status quo for Masonville. The $17,000 you see there for lift stations. There's currently there's 2 property owners and possibly 3 that want to put in lift stations in Brampton Township this year. So that's all we do is we'll purchase them and they reimburse us.
Just for the commissioners that might not weren't around when we hooked up to Masonville, the payment to Masonville Township is we do the billing for the wastewater, and then we also collect their portion of the bill that goes towards the debt service of their sewer system that they put in. So we collect the money and then we pay it back to them.
And that is that $78,400, that payment to Masonville Township. So under administrative, payroll's going up a little bit. That is basically Rusty Aird plans on retiring on July 5th. So his sick and vacation time is accounted in there. Let's see here. I have a little bit more in the health insurance. What we would like to do is, I believe Kim just posted today, an advertisement for hiring a new operator. We would like to hire him possibly in April or May, so he can have a little bit of tutelage from Rusty before he leaves.
I know I asked you this already, but is Rusty officially the last day of work July 5th, or is he going to be gone earlier and use some of that vacation?
His last day of work would be July 5th.
Sorry, I interrupted. You were cruising.
No, I'm just going down and highlighting any major changes. Pretty much everything else is status quo. As you can see, with the rate increase, we would be putting approximately 180,000 into fund balance instead of taking out between 120 and 140 the last 2 years. Safety training, that's about the same. Meter reading and billing is pretty much the same. Consumer service, you see we have 7,000 under materials and supplies. Joe Mackey is looking at putting in a lift station in Kipling at his rental. Line maintenance is pretty much the same. Meter maintenance is the same with just the operators' rate increases. Plant operation and maintenance. Is pretty much the same. We have next the lab. If you go under materials and supplies, we have a little more there this year. What we're looking at doing is purchasing an IDEX sealer and an incubator. And what That is to measure our fecal coliforms at the plant. Currently, we're using millipore, and we have to run 2 to 3 tests a day with the millipore, and with the Quantitrade and the IDEX sealer, we just have to run 1 sample a day. So that cost pretty much balances out as far as media for the samples. And then if you go down to contracted services, you can see we dropped quite a bit. The last 2 years when we got our NPDES permit in 2018, we had to do wet tests. Basically, we ship out water and they see if minnows can live in it. And we're done with those tests. And on our mercury and copper, I just requested in January for reduced monitoring because our monthly reads have been low. So they granted us that. So there's less testing there. But if we, right now, we're currently averaging about 2.3 nanograms per liter. And if we get over 5, then they'll make us go back to monthly. Under lift stations, our main expense under capital outlay, we're looking at putting in a Vertiflow pump at the state police lift station. We put one in this fall with great results. We're at that lift station once a week unplugging a pump. And we have not had to unplug that pump yet. So we'd like to change out the other pump that's currently in there. And that pump was installed, I believe, in 1970. And the Ibarra that we're looking at putting at the Clark Drive lift station, we had one fail, so we replaced one of those this year with an Ibarra, and we've had good results with that. So we're looking at putting one of those in up there. But we have one of where the pump slides down on the rails and the discharge connects to the plumbing leaving the lift station. There's a wing that's broke, and I think we're going to have Northern Machine come over and fabricate for us. So that's why there's, I believe, the 2 pumps. Total cost was around $9,000, and I budgeted another $3,000 for Northern to come over and fix that for us. Building and grounds, pretty much the same. Solids handling, pretty much the same. We're looking at having maybe DPW go out to our property and put some gravel down for us so we can get back farther on the property. That's the $1,500 for materials and supplies. Then under vehicle expense, what we would like to do is purchase an F-150 to replace our 09 GMC. That currently has 115,000 miles on it. The box is ready to fall right off. And when you're driving, you have automatic air conditioning through the floorboard. So we'd like to replace that. And if you go back up to the Ford 250 that we purchased last year, we'd like to purchase a plow to put on that 250 that we have. The plow would be a Boss coming from Gary's Collision Center.
What size plow are you looking for, Rodney?
You guys want a 7.2. I believe we got a 7.6 on it right now, and the blade's a little too wide, so it's peeling up the sidewalk when they plow it every year.
I think we got a 7.6 up at the sports park right now that we had for our old F-150. Maybe take a look at that.
I got prices too, if the commission doesn't approve the purchase of a new plow, to possibly throw our old plow on it. That cost would be about $1,800.
How old is the plow?
The plow was put on in 09 too, when they purchased the truck.
Okay.
And then the final department, the SAW grant, that'll be wrapping up here shortly, and that will be off the books. Is there any questions?
No.
Nope.
Sorry, I muted myself again. Thanks for all the detail on the coliform testing.
Well, hopefully it'll work out good. I know it works good at the water plant.
Yeah, it's good backup. So if one system breaks down, we'll be able to do samples at the other one. Okay, that brings us over to Rob.
Okay, it's starting with the revenue. That's going to be dependent on a rate increase. The big news there would be going to a $2 a month increase on the readiness to serve on 5 ACE meters. That was kind of the way it was planned last year as per the USF study. Also, there would be some increases to the larger meters, which would be $470 a month on a 1-inch, an additional $1125 per month on an 1.5 inch, $1930 on a 2-inch, and $3739 on a 3-inch. We only have 2 3-inch meters, and those are at the Manners. Other than that, not too much new on the income side. New lines, we're not doing any new lines this year. The 18,000, that's our 9th Street payment. Administrative, not much new there, with the exception of the healthcare buyout, as Skip mentioned, also in the electric department. Safety training, slight increase there on payroll, just due to kind of catching up on some safety things that had gotten behind the last couple of years and working with our new safety company. Meter reading and billing, not much new there. No capital outlay this year for us, as was mentioned with the electric department, kind of coming to an end with the Itron equipment. And for the water department this year, there won't be any expenses for AMI that I'm aware of. Consumer services, not much new there. When we get down to line maintenance, I did add in DPW payroll. We were just paying benefits, but we do work with them usually once a year when something's broken. Reservoir and elevated tank, a lot less expense this year without taking a tank completely out of service and rebuilding it. The only different expense is going to be, we do have a contract with a diver for doing an inspection of our reservoir. That'll be just under 3,000. Moving on, not much in difference in meter maintenance. We get to plant O&M, and plant O&M, we've got the expense of the granular activated carbon at just under 75,000. That was already approved at a budget meeting, and it should be going in this March, but we'll be paying for it in the new budget year. When it comes to lab, we'll have a little more expense there with contract services and some lab things we now have to do, some PFAS testing and other testing. And we'd like to get a new capital outlay is for a new chlorine analyzer. The system we currently have is about 30 years old. It's still working, but we're not sure how much longer. So we'd like to get that replaced. The next thing would be hydrant maintenance. We would like to replace one hydrant. We actually cut a hydrant out, I guess we'll say, over on 4th and Delta, and we'd like to move that whenever and wherever Barry is planning his new DPW garage. So that 5,000 includes material and labor. The next big item that needs to be addressed is under building and grounds. We're going to have the building completely, I guess, water blasted, tuck pointed, and recoated. That's kind of a worst case scenario number there. I know last year when we approached one of the painters, they said about 67,000. This year, talking with some other painters, it was between, they were estimating 85 and 120. We already had 8,500 approved for doing the engineering on that. So I figured 120,000 plus 8,500, and then I won't have to work. I should not have to worry about coming back to the commission asking for more money. After that, pretty much the same. Any questions?
You're looking at taking the 25,000 out of fund balance. If the worst case happens with if the water plant tuck pointing comes in higher than you expected.
That's correct.
Okay. That brings us to Cemetery Perpetual Care Fund. 711. And this is one of the smallest and least exciting funds that there is. The money that comes in gets transferred to the general fund, but it does have its own fund balance, and the Cemetery Perpetual Care Fund has about $276,000 in fund balance. And if Kim or Barry want to chip anything in on that, there are cemetery experts.
Are you planning any more paving this year in the cemetery?
Oh, we went over this.
Barry, you have to unmute your computer.
You hear me now?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, no, we're all done with paving this year, or done with paving up there. What was that, last year, year before? Cemetery Perpetual Care Fund. Vicky could probably answer this better than anybody. She's the one that transfers the money and knows how it works.
Well, the idea behind perpetual care is people pay that up front, and that's supposed to help take care of the site for the.
Yeah, every lot we sell, I think the lots are, I got her right here, a lot would be sold for $645, and would, out of that $645, perpetual care, $100 goes into that perpetual care fund for future maintenance. It, as you can see, it's starting to build up. They're starting to get quite a bit there, and
Bless America.
it's invested. We take the investment, the interest off the investments, and put back into the cemetery for maintenance.
Okay, that brings us to the last but not least, the retirement system fund, of which Vicky is an expert at.
This fund, each department or each fund you will see transfers money into this fund to go towards the rising costs of our MERS defined benefit. A portion is charged to each fund per the department that they retired in, and then the balance is charged to the retirement system fund. Oh, whoops, I forgot to advance the screen. But as you can see from the fund balance projection, which was the second page in the packet, projected ending fund balance for 3/31/2022 is just under $300,000. So Eric and I are going to have to take a look at how this fund is being used and see if there needs to be a little bit of revamping done, if there needs to be larger contributions made to it, if the expenses to the other funds need to be increased and smaller amounts going to the retirement system fund. In the event that we want to make a deposit to MERS for our unfunded liability, this fund needs to be worked on a little bit. So what I did was I just put together a status quo budget for the 21-22, but I think we'll be taking a look at it and maybe doing some budget amendments.
Have we received anything from MERS in concern about our balances at all?
No, actually our balance has, our funding percentage has gone up in the past couple of years. Just 1%, but 1% of $6 million is quite a big chunk. So we're going in the right direction with our funding percentage.
It's expensive.
Yeah. We have not, because of the timing of their actuarials, we did make a couple of those large deposits to MERS in that pension stabilization fund, which goes towards our unfunded liability. And that actuarial with those deposits has not been done yet. I think that this next one will show those deposits. So it'll be interesting to see what if our funding percentage goes up at all with those deposits that we made.
Right.
Mhm.
What time of year do they do the actuarial?
We usually get the actuarials in June. So right around when we're doing our audits is when we get that actuarial. Any questions, thoughts, concerns?
I have last year's actuarial, if any of the commissioners are interested in it. We didn't have the usual where MERS comes in and puts on their presentation because of the COVID problems that we were having, but we will have that this year.
Everybody's too quiet.
Eric, I had a question, seeing that we're talking about finances here. What is the status of the money that we put with First Bank through Bob Valentine? Is he going to give us an update on that sometime?
Yeah, that's a sort of a complicated question, because the way the money gets invested, each department puts some money in, and then each department shares in the investment. We can have them come in, or we can get a year-to-date update on it. I know when the market sort of tanked when COVID happened, it didn't look very good, but then it came back, and so I thought it did quite good for the year end.
We've only been with him for probably 6 or 7 months now. So do we, I mean, we can have him come in or
Yeah, I couldn't remember how long. I knew it wasn't quite a year yet because he came in when we were still having meetings. So at least at the 1 year period to give us a update.
We can have him do a year to date, or we can just wait a couple more months and have him do.
Yeah, I'm fine waiting a couple more months. I mean, if we're talking about, doing it in June, that's fine.
Okay.
I was just wondering if he gives you regular updates, or Eric or Vicky, if you see any, if we get statements on that, on those.
I get statements every month.
Okay.
And that's, now incorporated into my regular monthly reconciliation. And we do talk, not regularly, but.
Okay, that was just a question I had, talking about all the finances here the last couple of days.
Mm-hmm.
I know we still get people that ask about that, or they think we're gonna make 6, 7, 8%, and that's, you just can't invest municipal money.
Right.
Yeah. So anyway, if any of this is the first go around, this is a diamond in the rough. We do, as we were talking about with Ron earlier, we're still working on a couple of the numbers in regards to the street in the DDA, and also the AMI with the electric department. We'll get some more information on that, and so we'll get closer and closer so that we won't have any problem having a good budget ready to be approved by the end of March. Does anybody have any questions? Or
once again, just thank you to all of the department heads and Eric for all of the work that's been put in. I know it's not an easy task or an enjoyable task, but it needed to be done and much appreciated.
thank you, Vicky, for punching in all the numbers.
Well, thank you to everybody for getting the numbers together and going over it. And I'm sure you'll have it in time for us to get it in there on that last meeting in March.
Yeah, well, from this point on, when we if we change any of the numbers as in this document, we will make sure they get highlighted or marked so that you see from what, you know, the detail we've gone over tonight. The changes will be highlighted and explained.
So do you think we're going to need that meeting on Thursday? Then,
I don't think so. I think it's been well covered in the 2 sessions.
okay.
So with that, I will cancel and post the cancellation notice for Thursday's meeting.
Unless we want to meet at Wally's.
Yes, please.
Support the local business.
You go hunt down our photo bomber there.
Yeah, please.
I'm working on it.
We got a line item in here for the Wally's trip.
It's our EAP line item.
Right.
So anything else before we adjourn?
This is a great first draft. I mean, for all the items on here, we really just have a couple things we got to review. So I'd just like to say good job to everybody that contributed there, and Vicky for punching all the numbers in.
Yeah, then thanks to the supervisor. There's a lot of research and work also that goes into getting estimates and stuff like that. So I think everybody did a real good job.
That's a great plan.
I'm still offended for getting kicked off being in charge of scrolling the document down, but I'm getting over it.
That's what you get for sleeping at the wheel.
I still like looking at paper better than screen. That's my problem.
Excellent work by everybody. Eric, I think Michigan State's on, so your budget came in better than what they'll probably play.
Yeah, I'm scared to watch them this year.
All right, if that's all, we're adjourned.
Thank you.
You.
All right, thanks.
Thanks,
Thanks, guys.